It's the final T20 between India and South Africa. And for me as a fan, I'm not sure how you guys are all feeling. This is no red dead rubber for me. This is a game that we need to show some fight, some, I would like to say, intent, and consist and I can't say consistency because we've been hella inconsistent in the first two games. And I would like to obviously see certain statements be made, whether it's selecting or non-selection of players. Either or, I just want to see them be brave with regards to the way they approach this game. I know that a lot of people are going to be looking at this and saying that the Proteas have lost the first two games, so this match doesn't matter. But I think to a lot of the fans out there, this matters a lot because of the two performances in the first two games. So we're going to talk about it today. I'm going to find out what the other panelists also have to say and what you guys have to say in the live chat too. Don't forget to, of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new and click that notification bell for all future videos. Also, um, st- uh, can you please not download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine? I messed up and I recovered quite well. Give me some props. Okay, so the link is on the screen as well as in the description. Also, if you want to help South African cricket grow and promote South African cricket, click the Patreon account. You can become a patron today. Also, you can go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your updates. So let's get straight into today's video. Looking forward to chatting to everybody. Let's see what everybody has to say and what you guys have to say in the live chat. A very good evening. Welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your preview show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with India versus South Africa. You can see I'm a bit tired, of course. It was a long day. We got an opportunity to cover the World Cup, the Women's World Cup T20 2023 launch. What's a mouthful. And it will be in South Africa. They've confirmed the different venues. They confirmed that it will be about 60 Rand per ticket. I did a live stream daily show from the venue, so I got some interviews as well. You can go see who joined me on the show live. I know I didn't get an opportunity to prep it and prepare and advertise it before I went live, guys, because I was deciding how we were going to set up. Because the last time we were at the venue, that venue didn't have Wi-Fi. But when I got there, I asked and they told me we've got Wi-Fi, and I almost kissed David Brook on the head. So I was so happy about it, and so she sat down over there, and obviously did a live show, and we did some amazing interviews on the show. So please go and watch that. It's important that you do. It features Enoch Nkwet, it features Rassie van der Dussen, Nadine de Klerk. There's remember everybody now that I can think of. Andre Steyn is on there. Leah Jones was on there. Laura Goodall was on there. And so many more. Claire de Blanche as well. So go ahead and look at that. Also, I interviewed some journalists as well. Celine from G Sport for girls, and as well as Keenan, who's a fan of the channel, who works now for Daily Maverick. He was also came to give a few words on the show as well and what his experience was like. And I can't forget the host of the day, and that was, of course, Cass Naidu. So we had a nice conversation about that. So please go ahead and look at that video. But today is the preview show. I don't want to keep this too much about the Women's World Cup. I want to focus on that last T20. And of course, we know what's going to be happening with regards to the result at the end of the day. The series is done. We have this final game. How are we going to approach it? So what I've decided to do tonight is I'm going to sit back and I'm going to let you guys give me your opinions. And let me see what you guys have to say about it. But I'm going to first bring on one of the panelists on the show, and that's Mpo, because I really want to get his views. I haven't had a chance to speak to him about this game. We normally get the chance to talk about games after things go down. We haven't had the chance, so this is our chance. So welcome to the show, Mpo. Great to see you again, brother.
How are you guys doing? How's it to the fans? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. How are you feeling after these first two games? I have to ask you because there's been a very, as again, cricket Twitter has been going bedonnet, if you want to be South African and say it, or crazy, even in another word, if you want to say. Um, it's been crazy. I don't even know which teams they which teams there are. If this was Twilight, it was like Jacob and what's his name again? Edward, whatever was his name.
Oh yes. Oh, remember
I don't know
that.
what his
That
name.
was a long time ago,
remember,
Khalid.
remember they did the
Don't
hashtag
expose our
Team
age,
Jacob.
dog. Some of our fans don't know that. Some of our fans don't know that there was a Twilight.
Oh Lord. I don't even know why I was thinking of hashtag Team Jacob and hashtag
Mm.
Team whatever. Anyway, what is your thoughts?
Oh, before I start, unlucky about yesterday's loss. Unlucky, unlucky.
I was trying to skate past that one.
Hey, look, the Proteas were showing flames. Man United was showing flames on the other channel. It was just a mess. Look, I went into this because this series is really weirdly placed. Because for me, it's a couple of things. We're in India, we're not in Australia. You're right. And so for me, what are we going to learn in a place where um in yes, you can say pitches are flat, and I saw them put the pitches in Australia last week, and so I was like, okay, so how are we going to learn? What are we looking for? Obviously, there were three questions. It was the opening partnership, trying to get those guys back into form. It was the all rounders, trying to get them into form, or figuring out with between Dwayne and Wayne who you're going with, and it was the bowlers, who you were going to partner with Kagiso as your either opening and death bowl partnership, and then who of the four of the barrage of bowlers that you have is the best suited to bowl in the death. And I'm including Wayne and Dwayne in here because my 11, my best Proteas 11 has two spinners, which is Maharaj and Shamsi. So then you got three quicks that you have to choose, one all rounder and two of those. So for me, that was the questions I was trying to figure out. Have we answered a lot of the questions? I don't think we have, because I wanted, as much as I wanted us to win, I wanted us to be able to answer questions. The only question I think we've answered is Quinny de Kock somehow found some sort of timing yesterday, and that knock was really important. He grew with the innings. It was a typical Rassie-esque innings, and a lot of people killed Rassie for it for this before, but it worked. Obviously, the big question is Temba, and so that's still unanswered. The other obviously question is which all-rounder you're going with, Dwayne or Wayne. We've given Wayne two chances. What are you going to do with Dwayne? Are you going to give Dwayne a chance against India? Because remember, we've only got two T20s after this. So you got to kind of recycle. And the other question was the guys on the bench, Riley Rousseau, as well as Reza Hendricks, and even Heino Klaassen, also need to be kind of hot, because in case you have an injury, you want them to come in striking hot. And outside of Temba and Quinny, all the other batters were in some sort of a form, and you also wanted Tristan Stubbs to get some reps. Because for me, going to the World Cup, it's about guys getting enough active game time. I don't care about my starting 11. Right, what I care about is the squad is on form, and the biggest question right now is obviously Temba. But what happened yesterday, which was really, really bothering, is the bowling. It just fell apart. Firstly, it was the batting, and we kind of knew the batting was like this in the first T20, but the bowling just was like, you're like, okay, guys, if you don't have plan B, where do we go? And how do we navigate around this? So my thing was, I haven't answered the question, so I'm disappointed. I did want to win the series, but at the end of the day, I'd rather lose the series to win the World Cup. So then for me, the question is, how do we get there? And is Mark and selectors, are they answering the questions along the way? And from where I'm sitting, they've only answered one question or fixed one area, and that's Quinton de Kock, at
Yeah.
least looking like some sort of version of Quinton that we all know. The
Yeah.
rest is a question. I like Wayne as the all-rounder for me, so I'm okay with Wayne playing, but I want Dwayne to come in. I'd personally drop Anuk Nokia out of the 11 to play Lungi and KG. But I want Anuk's 150 kilometers per hour kind of bowling, but he can't bowl at the death. So how do you balance Anuk as well as Keshav Maharaj. You kind of have to pick one or and not the other because you also want KG on the other end. So there's a lot for Mark and the team to go through. It feels unprepared to me going into this World Cup, but I hope that in the next week or two, they kind of figure out what they're looking for because I can bowl Lung in the middle overs and I can bowl him at the death, but I can't have Anna and Keshav in the same team for me because I need someone to bowl at the top, and I need Anna to bowl at the top, and Keshav can only bowl at the top, but I also want KG to bowl at the top. So I'm just a little trying to navigate, especially after yesterday. I kind of was like, okay, guys, what are we trying to do here? Because we don't have a death bowler, and for me, somebody needs to start bowling Yorkers like yesterday. You can't concede 82 in the last 5 overs. So for me, that's where I'm at. Do you want me to address Temba now or do wait?
I was going to ask you that actually next.
Okay.
That was the question because
Yes.
there's something we need to talk about with regards to Temba, and that's you know before this. Let's just step back a little bit before we get into it. Before we get into the actual thing, because before this series, before Temba got injured,
Mm,
I said consistently on this channel that I want to see him get form, and I want to
mm,
see him get some regular form at the top of the order. However, he gets the runs, I want to see him get minimum at least 30 runs consistently in games at a relatively good rate so that he can be at least someone that is solidified at the top of the order to protect the rest of the order
mm,
below him. And I said I would have liked to see him do that consistently. And if he gets that consistency going, then he should be selected in the team. Now, he got injured at the absolutely wrong time. And then he came back, and I said I had to keep my same thought process with this because I'm saying we can't continue with Timba's form like this when you have someone that has created a world record on the bench. Like 5 T20s in a row has
mm,
never happened before in T20 cricket, and that guy's just sitting watching as an opener. So if you're going to drop Temba, let me change this. If you're going to bring in Riza, is the question, which needs to happen. I feel that it does need to happen based on form. I think form should be rewarded. That's what we were told, that form would be rewarded. All through the years, I think the captaincy is what's protecting him at the moment. At this point, I don't think his batting's been good enough. He hasn't shown improvement or anything with regards to his batting over the last couple of years. Coming back here, he struggled. I know he's also struggling with a lot of mental issues that would have also affected his game too. And we know with the SA20 stuff that's been going on there too, and off the field stuff is always attached to Tembo, no matter where he walks. The guy can't go on social media, so I feel extremely bad for him. But when we're talking from a cricketing sense and with this particular team and the balance, I don't feel comfortable dropping Riley Rousseau for his Hendricks. I know Riley got 2 ducks or whatever the case may be and didn't do so well, but I just feel that his ability to be able to strike when we need him is there still within him. That X factor to be able to bat fast. He only knows one way ultimately, and that's the T20 way, in my
mm,
opinion. Whereas with Temba, he needs to adapt still. And I feel that perhaps maybe they ask too much of him to adapt his style so much to suit the style of cricket that he needs to play for this team. Because all the teams that I know him of, that he's played in T20 cricket, he's been the solid guy at the top of the order that bats through the innings and makes sure that you stay in. And
mm.
that's been his role in every single team he's played. Now, kind of, Quinton de Kock, I don't believe this narrative around Quinton that he's bats 40 or 10 balls in the power play. That doesn't. He's always been a player to me that gets his runs at the latter stage once his eyes in. Yes, he gets a couple of good clean boundaries in the power plays and he gets some runs on the board. Might not be like
It's not.
yesterday.
It's not
It's not like
140. It's around 120 strike rate.
120 strike rate, 120
Yes.
strike rate in the power play. So he's kind of doing the role that you could say almost that Bavuma supposed to be has been supposedly doing for his other teams around the country when he does play for the
Mm,
MSL and when he did play in for the Lions. So that role is not there for him anymore. Quinny is the main guy in that opening partnership. He kind of needs to tailor his game to try and either do what Riza did, where Riza went ultra aggressive, changed his game,
Mm-hmm.
changed his. Because I spoke to Riza about that, about his game in T20
Mm.
cricket, and he mentioned to me to before that he needs to try and find a way to get a little bit more aggressive, get a little
Mm.
bit more positive, and we could see the changes, the way he has come forward, his stance, everything that he's been doing is positive. I haven't seen that same positiveness from Temba Bavuma. It's very tentative. It's always been, and that's my concern because at the moment, can you afford to have to have a player in your team that is going through everything that he's going right now, and with his that it to the point that it's affecting his form, I feel, and that's what it seems to me currently.
So look, phew, so many things for me to say,
Yeah,
but anyway, um,
as that's one.
so yeah, it's ready. Look, for me, let's look at where this how this team plays their cricket. Right? They asked David Miller about this yesterday.
Yeah,
That in chasing 237, did he feel that the start, from a batting perspective, was what let them down? Right? And he said no. There's many ways to skin the cat, and I've never seen a change in approach in this team apart from the fact they've put in players who can accelerate a lot quicker, especially in the middle order. And Aiden Markram has tailored his game to being that. But from what I've seen from this team throughout Mark Boucher's tenure, is that they keep on allowing guys to get themselves in 33 of 34 or 34 of 33 for Quinton yesterday. And then you kind of try and accelerate. And we've said this on many occasions on this platform that that's a dangerous strategy. But Mark's always wanted one of the top six to bat until over 15. I don't think that has changed. What has changed is the aggressive nature of some of the players in the middle order to be able to play to bat at a higher strike rate than the rest of the guys at the top of the order. Remember, we've always had an opening problem. All our guys at the top in the top four at one point in time were openers and were striking at around 130. Was it Rassi? If Rassi was here, Rassi would be doing. We'd be talking about Rassi because Rassi would get you those runner balls and then he'd go out. So for me, that's where this team is. What I think Temba's finding himself in is that one, he never asked to be captain. They approached him to be captain, right?
yeah,
So he's got that mentality in his head that he's the captain, he's the leader. He needs to score runs, he needs to prove people wrong. And as you rightly say, mentally, he's probably not in the greatest of places, right? Right. Two, the other thing is that, yeah, based on form, he shouldn't be there. The captaincy is hiding him 100%. It does not mean he's not a T20 international batter, does not mean that he's a scrub. He's a good player. He's a good batter. That I will sit with. That I will fight. Guys will come and for the hills, whatever it is. The other thing is that because he's off form and he hasn't played cricket in a while, his timing was off. He couldn't clear mid on, not because he's unable to, because he just lacks the timing. He hasn't gotten a lot of reps, right? He hasn't gotten a lot of games. And it's unfortunate that Riza's sitting out because you need to try and get Temba and Quinton as many balls as possible. Obviously, Temba's only phase 2 or phase 7 or 8 in this series. And so for me, that is what Mark is trying to do right now. Mark is trying to give Temba every single opportunity to get himself in because he is still important to the game plan. That game plan we were angry with last year at the World Cup. Okay, we weren't angry at the World Cup, but we were angry before the World Cup. That game plan is still the same now. The only difference is that Tristan Stubbs, David Miller, with 7 overs to go, have to explode at every moment. And that's what yesterday should have taught you. The fact that this team can still score 220 after being 47 for 3 is one of the reasons why I still say the South African team can win this World Cup because they have the ability to get themselves out of holes that are created by poor form, by some early loss of wickets in T20, which happens, right? So now the issue here is this. You can't tell Temba to step down or retire. What professional is going to do that? Imagine me coming to your office, Khalid, coming to you there, sitting next to you and saying, Khalid, you're not doing a great job. Subscribers are low. Retire. What rubbish is that?
subscribe now. Yeah, he's taking the subscribers are low.
Like,
Subscribe here, guys.
what must happen, right? Two, the person you should actually be asking these questions is Mark Boucher. And to a certain extent, Graham Smith, because this is the mess that Mark and Graham created. Remember, we sat here the day Temba was made captain that afternoon, and we spoke about this, and we were like, wait, we get in ODIs, but it's still a little bit too early. But in T20s, we're not so sure. right? Because we're still early. And we were like, yes, Temba's the incumbent, but Temba's incumbency, this is the only time in Temba's T20 career for the Proteas where we are questioning whether he's a T20 opener. We've tried Yanaman Malan at the top. He failed. We tried Riza. You guys didn't want Riza last year, right? So the incumbent is Temba. It's only now where we're questioning Temba's situation, which is fine. And that's
question
okay.
on Riza, the Riza and Temba debate was all about form.
Yes,
because both of them weren't informed. Both of them looked out of their depth. So I took it from me personally. When I looked at the openers, I said, "This is an opportunity for you guys to kind of go head to head and show what you're capable of. How can you improve your game from now that you've shown us in this World Cup till the next World Cup? You have a year."
Yeah.
And my problem is, I've seen an increase in Riza's game plan and the way he approaches T20 over this last year, but I haven't in Temba. I feel that he's been given a lot of opportunities now to show that he's capable of that. And I've been defending his position because I think that his value as a captain is so important to this team. And I do believe that because when things are busy and going crazy around him, he remains calm, which I like about him. If he can only have that calmness at the crease, we wouldn't be having this talk if there was
Khalid,
consistency.
you can't keep on carrying a guy like this. I even said you can't keep on carrying it.
That's
but
my point,
the problem is that we created a problem by naming him captain.
That's the problem. That was the biggest issue. We said it. We both said it, by the way.
Yes.
We both said it when it happened.
Yes. And this is the consequence of that. This conversation is 2 years. We need to go back and watch what happened 2 years ago in COVID when they named the captain. And then we'll come back here. If you want, you can go back. I'm sure it's still live on YouTube.
Yeah.
But for me, that's the issue, right? So then how do you solve the issue? You go talk to Temba before the squad gets announced and say, Temba, can we do this?
This talk should have happened before the squad announcement.
Yes, to say, Temba, can we do this? You'll still stay ODI captain. You'll take us to the 2023 World Cup. But for this one, you can be a squad member, but to give us flexibility, can we name David Miller as T20 captain? In order for us to give us the flexibility, unless if he is comfortable, because it looks bad to have a national team captain. And this is what people want, right? They want Temba to wear a bib, right? And when this team wins the World Cup, Temba's going to wear a bib and then lift the World Cup trophy. Like, how does that work? It happened with Banyana Banyana. They won the African Cup of Nations and they had a leadership group of 3 players. The one player is the most capped South African footballer in the history of South Africa. And she's just Janine van Wyk. She didn't even play in the final. She came on as a sub. And then she was lifting the trophy. And I was like, but the other 2 were captains. How does that work? So for me, you should drop Temba, 100% happy. His form doesn't warrant that over the last year. 100% happy with that. But then the conversation needed to happen a lot earlier. It can't happen now with 2 weeks of us going to Australia. Unless you then go to Victor Pitang, you go to Mark Barcher, and you ask any of the other Proteas, what is the value of having Temba in the side? Because there seems to be something there that's that thingy. Because that's missing. Because to everybody else here wants Temba out, but the people in India right now in that hotel room, they're not saying anything. They're okay with him there. So I feel for Riza, and one of the things I wanted Riza to do, or why I wanted, so for me in this tour, I wasn't going to play Aiden a lot because I know what Aiden can give us. I actually even wasn't going to give David Miller a chance. I was going to swap Aiden and David Miller at the 5 role, just depending on how it was. But I was going to play Riley, Riza, Temba, and Quilly, all 4 of them at the top.
Makes sense.
Right? And so for me, that's what it was. But outside of that, look, he does deserve to be dropped, but they created this hole, this mess.
Yeah.
And how do they get themselves out of it? Because to me, I don't know. But the other thing is that for me, the one thing is this, and let me say this. I said this on my podcast. Guys, please stop tagging people on Twitter. Like, what type of where did you guys grow up where you are allowed to just abuse players and tag them? You can abuse him by naming him, but don't tag him. Please don't tag players. It's a bad look. It's a personal attack.
And look at there's an important message that Rassi gave today to us on that show earlier on about fans and what is our role as fans, because this is a fan channel. We're different to other channels. We give fan opinions. We're not necessarily all journalists that's writing journalistic pieces here to the team. We are trying to give our opinion and trying to grow a fan base of cricket crazy fans. And he gave us some great advice over there about the difference between criticizing and abuse. And that's
Mm,
where I get upset, and that's when I start defending players, because I don't think anybody is worthy of abuse where it becomes personal, where it's got nothing to do with actually the cricket itself. It begets this. I've been seeing people saying um, you're inhuman, you're not even a person, you this, that, and the other. They dehumanize people, and that's not the right thing to do. I feel that criticism is fine, it's fair, and Temba is wanted. And he will take that criticism if you're talking about his cricket, but it's not because he's black. It's not because he's short. It's not because he's the worst T20 cricket player that ever lived. It's not because he has the inability of playing cricket. Those are all not true. He's bang out of form. He might not suit the style of cricket that we are trying to play, because we would, when Temba was initially picked in the team, we had a different approach to the game in T20
mm,
cricket initially. We wanted these anchors, and we wanted to play deep, and we wanted one supporter and one attacker. That's what the thought process was back then. We forget that when Temba was started coming into the white ball teams. It's changed a lot now. We're looking for strike rates above 130, 140 consistently throughout the team.
mm,
160, 180, even 200 when you go lower down. So the mentality shifted and changed. Can I just ask Ashwani
mm.
his opinion on this? Paul, before you get back to it. Ashwani, what's your thoughts from the outside? What's the talk like amongst Indian cricket fans, if you do ever have conversations about this?
Yeah, I think first of all, hello to Khalid and Mupo. What I saw and listened in the conversation, I think there is a, you can say that, impact about Temba Bavuma, that he's a very poor player. He's I think not good for South African cricket. I think obviously his performance is not that good in T20 cricket, and he deserves criticism. But I think it's look like there is some hate towards him, but that's not fair. Obviously, we should talk about his performances. But what I read in some in social media, it's not good. If I as a cricket fan, if I want to talk about cricket and as a blunt cricket fan, I think what I want to say, you have to listen it with your uh, you can say open heart. I think Temba Uma is a South Africa's poster boy skipper basically, and he is based out at the Ham of Affairs in limited overs cricket with an underlying motive for the board to lay bare its embarrassment of diversity. That's first of all, and I think Bavuma represented a new South Africa that is fair and equal for all. That's what I want to say. And one thing, obviously, his form is not good. That's obviously we all accepted. But I think South African cricket and especially the coach Mark Boucher, he marked Temba Uma 1 or 2 years ago that he will be South Africa's captain. Obviously, his performance not justified in the previous World Cup, where South Africa won 4 of their 5 games and stage games before facing a Super 12 exit. I think it's a little bit created a wrong perception of Oma's influence on the side. I think the he only collected, I think, 91 runs in the 4 innings and strike rate of 108, which I think dented obviously in South Africa's net run rate. I am want to say that I am a huge fan of Boomer's captaincy, but I uh, you can say that controversy my statement, because in previous podcast I talk a huge about Bouma's captaincy, that he should be at helm of affairs with South Africa for 2 3 years, but due to his injury in the past 3 to 4 months and the emergence of Riza Hendricks as a player, there is some thought process that why South African management didn't talk to Bavuma, that why should Miller be come out as a captain as well. So in that regard, I think their selector Victor has to talk to uh, Bavuma as well, because I think the player like Riza Hendricks, Mopho is right in the chat that both Riza and Bavuma are same type of players 1 year ago, but in the past 1 year, I think his mental approach, especially Riza Hendricks, has changed. He just utilized his power play overs very well, as compared to Buma. I think Buma is struck between 1 to 6 over games, and where I think which is South Africa's biggest weakness in their whole team. Because they are a fantastic T20 side, and there is a higher probability that they can win the World Cup, which I think from the past 20 to 20 years they don't won an ICC trophy. So I think for this they have to, selectors have to think about, and obviously they have to talk with Mark Boucher, that what should be the ideal top three, or you can say that top two for South Africa, for the sake of South African cricket in the T20 World Cup. If we want to include Bavuma, what should, in where, in which format we should use him as well. Obviously, in this upcoming World Cup, it is wrong to discard Bavuma. I think he should be continued as captain for me in this World Cup, because in the previous World Cup he has done well, whatever the sources he provided. Obviously, we all not thought that South Africa will enter semi-finals as well. The amount of turmoil in South African cricket. So for that perspective, I will retain Bavuma as a captain, because what he has done in the past World Cup, obviously his form is not coincided with his captaincy. But for that World Cup, I will retain him, because because your World Cup is around 10 to 15 days. You can't change the whole squad, because Buma is in your plans from 1 to 2 years. So I think you can't change suddenly Buma from, what I want to say. You can understand, you can't change from that guy, because he's in the plan of management, that obviously Boucher has a strong backing for him. So I want Buma that he should be captain for there. After that, you can, for, because there are back to back ICC events. So after this event, you can changes your teams or your squad or your captain as well. So in this World Cup, I will retain Temba Bavuma.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm looking at the situation and I see it, and I know Quinton was captain before, and he was going through a difficult time. Actually, Justin's asking me
Mm.
that question in the live chat over here, and when I did say so, and at this particular moment, you see, Quinton de Kock as a captain, like, for me, it's not the same as Temba Bavuma as captain, because for me Temba Bavuma's value as a captain is actually a lot. It was so it's so it's mainly the calmness that he brings, because South Africa seemed to be always put into pressure situations and not knowing how to solve it. That's why we got the choker name behind our name. That's how we got that choker name. When things are on the burner, we struggle to put out the flame, and it's something that we need to obviously find a way to mentally to deal with as a group. But I felt that Temba brought that calmness to the group of players. And the reason why I've been like this is because of the conversations I've had off the field with players in the dressing room, and what they say about Temba Bavuma and his captaincy, and what he's brought, and how calm he is, and how they gravitate towards him when they have issues and problems. He seems to be always the one that can try to solve that. But when you are when you're a batter and you're a top order batter, opening batter, you have them. It's not. Timber is probably the hardest job in the world, to be a captain and an opening batter. It's probably one of the hardest jobs in cricket, because you're in the firing line all the time, both sides, as a captain with a bowler, as well as with a bat, especially in power plays where T20 is developed into such a level that people are striking at 120 in the power play with ease now these days. It's not like it's normal for people to do it now. It's expected for people to be
Mm.
almost 60 by after the power play. I mean, that's the problem, and South Africa's kind of struggle to do that consistently throughout, even through the last World Cup as well. We struggle to do that. So we need to find a way and how to do that. We saw,
So,
like I said, what we've seen
mm,
from Temba Bavuma's sake, what we've seen from Riza Hendricks. Riza has made a concerted effort to try and change that, and really, you can actually really see it in his technique and his approach, how he comes out, how he's playing more
mm.
positively. So I like to see that visual difference. We haven't had the chance to actually see that visual difference with Temba because he's been injured and it's been so interrupted. So that is a bit of an issue. But when I'm looking further at the next game, for this next game,
Mm.
I think it would only be fair to give Pema one more chance to prove himself, to give him the series. Then in the warm-ups, after this particular series, have a conversation with him, and from the warm-ups, go leading into the World Cup, you play your first 11, your best 11. Because ultimately, if Quinny doesn't score runs tomorrow, for example, then he's in the and Temba does, and then in the same boat again. So they're in exactly the same boat as we would have been anyway. We're gonna have then we would probably play them both. That's the problem. And I
So
really believe that Riza should get into this team.
yes, look, I think Riza should be playing in the side, and he should be there. There's a couple of points, right? Temba can be captain off the field. It is possible. There needs to be some very honest conversations that happen in the team about that. And I don't know if they've had them already, but in doing so, you need to because Temba knows he's off form. The only problem about this, he keeps on getting selected. He's not asking to be selected. The selectors are putting him in that position.
In that position.
Right? Yes. He can say no, but which man is ever going to say no? Because as a professional, as a professional sportsman, you think your next best innings is around the corner, right? So I get why people are saying I like guys. You can't call a guy selfish for being selected to play for his country. He's being selected to play for his country. So there is a possibility for him to be captain outside the team and carry the drinks. It will be embarrassing. It'll be humiliating, but he'll get over it. Temba's stronger than all of this. Yes, mentally it hurts and stuff like that. He's gonna write a book. You guys will find out, and then you'll come back and we're gonna have these debates again. But I'm like, like if you dropped him,
He
wouldn't
deserves
have,
to be
like,
dropped. I wouldn't have an issue if he's dropped.
yeah, like
At
he
all.
knows he deserves to be dropped.
Like,
It's just that
really.
they've given him the opportunity. Is it not a situation like when Graham was at the end of his career, when he was struggling for runs and struggling to perform, that you carried him
Yeah.
in,
But
in Test
unfortunately,
match cricket for that reason? You carried him for the captaincy to reduce the burden off of somebody else, and then those players then have to take that extra 10%. But then in that situation, it would mean to then start to be creative around where Temba bats. So for instance, my thing was in that game yesterday, Temba didn't need to open. You could have opened with Riley. If you wanted to go guns blazing, for instance, as an idea, we've thought about these many times to be able to move Temba around the order depending on what's going on in the game, right? Because if you want his captaincy and the team feels his captaincy is there, because the problem about this is that it's not a Temba issue, it's a Mark Barcher and a selectors issue as to why they keep on persisting with a guy who's consistently off form, even if he's captain. Because as guys have rightly pointed out, people have been stripped of their captaincy before World Cups before, right? So then the question needs to be asked of the selection panel, of the coach, as to why they're continuing with Temba when he's woefully off form, right? Because it's not on Temba to ask him, it's on them, because you've got Riza. Riza must play, and I'm saying he must play. Riza has to play. So now we're trying to find ways to put Temba in and around and everything else. So take Temba out and do that. So I thought this series was for Temba to find his form because he's been injured, right? He played for the Lions. He scored 250s or 150 there. Riza blew the door down in that Namibia preseason tour. And you could see that there was a gulf between the two of them. So the question is going to Australia, have the conversation, do drop him or send him home, and bring somebody else in. But this thing of jumping on the guy when he has he can say no to not being selected, but that's going to look bad because there's 15 guys going to the World Cup and the rest of his teammates are probably supporting him, trying to get him back up to speed. That falls on Mark and Victor and the rest of the panel. They need to figure out what they need to do with Temba. It's not for Temba to figure out. Temba's job is to score runs.
And
if
you know
he's
what?
struggling to score runs, there's nothing we can do.
If he steps down as T20 captain, right? I'm just going to
Why
give
do you
people a
want him to
scenario. No.
step
I'm just
yes.
I'm just talking. If he hypothetically, if he had to step down from T20 captain, do you understand the amount of craziness that will be with the team again? It's going to be off the field bull crap that's going to be following the Proteas again in another World Cup campaign. That's my problem. the amount, what comes with it is my issue. Because last time we had problems, there was political issues within the team when we went to
Mm.
the World Cup. 2019, there was political issues in the team when we went to the World Cup. Again, now we're going to have political issues going into a World Cup. And both ways, you're doomed if you do, if you're doomed if you don't. Because if he steps down, it's going to be the amount of pressure that's going to be on the Proteas then is going to be tremendous. It's going to be through the roof because everybody's going to laugh at us and say, I'm talking about the other countries. Remember, we're not playing in South Africa. They're not going to protect us here, there in Australia. Trust me that.
Oh.
They will come for our throats if we do something like that. And the Red Dance will probably need unprepared South Africa drop T20 captain or some crazy thing like that, or whatever the case may be. I mean, I'm just think about the headlines in Australia that had to happen. So I don't know what to do. I'm sitting over here because I feel that he does need to be dropped and we need to play Riza. But in order to do that, you kind of have to take the captaincy almost away from him as maybe to make him more droppable. But then on the same side, the repercussions of dropping him as a captain so close to a World Cup is also a lot. So I'm shot at the moment with ideas on what to do with
No,
this.
guys. The simple
know?
answer is to drop him, but you need to then you need to drop him, put it out as a press release, and say like Dean handled the press really well in the UK, right? About this baseball thing. He's like, I don't want to talk about it, right? So you drop a press release to say that Temba will not be captain of the squad going to the World Cup. He'll still be a member of the squad as batting cover, and whomever. I say David Miller because I want the flexibility to switch between Kesha and Shamsi from a bowling perspective, right? David Miller's captaining the side going to this World Cup. Temba will be a member of the team. He'll be able to assist and everything else. He's still a member of the leadership group. Some flowery language. We'd like to thank Temba for his contribution and everything else. But with the emergence of with his form and everything else, this is where we're going.
I can't say that. This is rude. Look, I'm not comparing the two players. No, I'm not going to say it because people are going to put this.
So they need to.
But they could possibly drop him. They could keep him as captain and drop him still.
Yes, they could.
So whoever steps in, the vice captain takes over as captain. For the match.
Like yes, United but the problem is that every press conference you'll be asked about Temba. Yeah. That's the only issue. Yeah. So you want to be front. You want to front thing this issue, and they should have done this a month ago. But you need to front it now.
That could be an option, but my answer would be, if I was protecting them, would be he's not informed. He deserves to be dropped because he's not informed. But we still believe he's the best captain.
You don't want to be voicing.
He can still be but he still can be a captain off the field.
I backed Temba, but Mark 2 weeks ago was like, I backed Temba to the hills.
Yeah.
So
I know that.
Yeah,
but he's not informed. So you can't control that.
My question to Mark would be like 2 weeks ago, you said this. Why do you want to?
Yeah, but he hadn't played the series yet. That's why he said it.
The problem about this is saying that it's because we've never seen coaches throw players under the bus before. Be like, oh no, he's.
They will never do it. We're never going to do that.
Yes. So yeah. So they need a massive big PR exercise to do this. But happy for you to drop him.
But I mean, they have. Either they drop him or he's rested. That's most of the term. They can.
Guys, we all know the truth, man. We all know the truth. So my thing is this:
rested.
So it would work fine tomorrow in the game for them to come out with a press release in the morning to say this. We deal with it in this game, but Riza plays, Temba carries the drinks, and we have a semblance of a World Cup starting 11, because I don't think we've seen our World Cup starting 11, our strong World Cup starting 11, unless if it's the one that's been playing right now, right? Because that's what I want to see too. I want to see my starting 11, right? So if it's not Temba, then rest Temba, and then come out with the press release tomorrow morning and say we've had discussions. David Miller's going to lead the side now going forward, but it's going to have to come from Boucher. And it's going to have to come from the selectors. It's not going to come from Temba. You cannot put that responsibility on a player to do that. You guys think he's doing it for his country? No. He's a professional. He gets paid to do this. It's his job. If you are struggling at your job, they don't come and say, we think you should retire. They try and give you opportunities for you to continue to get better, right? Yes, we don't do that
like we gave Quinton.
And Aiden in Test match.
And Aiden and so many other players too.
Yes. So Mark and Graham and all those. So the thing about it is that it's up to the selectors to then say, Temba, come off the ledge. He's not going to, because Temba in his head, like me, if I was in the same situation like everybody else, is the next innings is my innings. Just like Quinny. You know, the next innings is my innings. We're focusing on the next one. Yes, I had whatever it is. I've had bad year, but tomorrow is the good year starts. And that's how professional stars think. So if you don't select them, they will continue to play. If you keep on selecting them, they'll play. And Temba will be embarrassed. And it'll continue until you then make the call to cut it. To say I've made a mistake. We made an error in selecting him as captain for this long, for this format. We realized our error. We're now moving to this way. And it should have done at the squad announcement. It didn't. And it has to happen before they get into Australia, because it cannot happen while they're when they land in Australia. Because when they land in Australia, it's going to be the whole AB de Villiers 2019 World Cup thing. There's a shadow hanging over the team. And then the team's not going to be performing well. When you lose, they're going to be like, did you miss the captaincy? Did you miss Temba's captaincy? Did you
Every
do
year
this?
there's
Even
a
though
shadow. Every World Cup there's a shadow.
Last year there wasn't a shadow. Oh, Black Lives Matter.
Yes, there was.
Okay, I'd like to go to World Cup without a shadow.
Yeah,
I'd like, yes, I'd like to go to World Cup with no drama. And to a certain extent, maybe that's why Boucher and the guys are just pulling back and holding off.
Let me get your final thoughts, guys. Your teams for tomorrow. Ashwani, let me get your team. Who do you think should start for South Africa? I don't want to really touch on India too much because I'm sad that we lost the series. So you can maybe throw in a couple of notes there in from India perspective who you interested or excited to watch, and then I want the same from both as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. South Africa should play Temba tomorrow. My 11 will be Temba, Quinny. I will drop Riley Russo for tomorrow's game. Riza will be playing at number 3. Uh, Aidan Markram, Devin Miller, Tristan Stubbs, Wayne Parnell, Keshav, Kagiso, and Rick and Lungi. The reason why I dropping Riley Russo, because I want to give Temba last game, because it's that kind of Graham Holker Stadium where 240 and 250 would be achievable there, and it's a belter of the ground. You can score 240 there. So I think it's a good opportunity for Temba Bavuma to score runs and give some kind of confidence to South Africa's top order there that he's in the groove as well. So I would like to see Temba in the last game. And for the Indian team, I think India's batting is excellent there. Obviously, Virat will be not playing in the last match, so most probably Shreyas Iyer will be in the team. And one thing, obviously, I would like to see is that how India's death bowling will cope with South Africa's batting. India's death bowling is a big concern for them, and obviously the absence of Bumrah in the World Cup is a huge dent to India's chances in the World Cup. The one thing which I want to see, if India can defend the totals around 140, 160, 170, then they have a huge chance to winning that World Cup. If obviously if we see in the last game, South Africa has fell 16 short after, and they required 100 above runs in last 5 overs, and South Africa nearly chased it. So India's death bowling is a huge concern for me. Batting is, I think they have the one of the best top 5 in the world, including Hardik Pandya. So I would like to see some improvement in their death bowling in the last 3 to 4 overs. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. My 11 is Temba, Quinny, Reza, Riley. I'm dropping David in this game because he scored the 100, so we've seen enough. We know what he can do. So Aiden's probably going to bat at 5, Tristan Stubbs at 6. I'm playing both Parnell and Dwayne. And between Maharaj and Shamsi, you need one spinner because Aiden's there. But I'd stick with Maharaj, but I want Shamsi because he's slightly off form as well. And Lungi and Anna. KG needs a rest. I need to figure out between Anna and Lungi who's the guy who's going to partner with KG in a two all round or 2 spinner situation. And then I want Parnell and Dwayne in there. I just need to give guys an opportunity. Hopefully it's not like 200 without loss, because that would suck completely. But we need guys to get game time. I need guys to bat. I need guys to get opportunities to bat. But tomorrow's gonna be interesting. Hopefully Mark does a press conference tomorrow.
Hopefully.
But yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully.
I want to, for me personally as well, I want to see everybody that hasn't got an opportunity try and get an opportunity in here somewhere. But I do want to see these specifics that I want to see. For example, um, I do want to see Ryder so again, and I do want to see Riza Hendricks too. So I want them to figure that out. How they're going to do it, I don't know. That needs to happen. And I also would like to see the two all rounders play together. Like Impo said, I would like to see Dwayne and Wayne play together as a combination. Also, I want to see them coming to bat together. That's what I actually want to see. Two of them bat together. I want to see a little bit. That will be fun to watch. Let's see what they can do with the bat also. And generally speaking, yeah, rest the ones that are certainties. Like Aiden's a certainty for me, and David's a certainty for me in this T20 setup. I want to see Tristan Stubbs get the more chance. Obviously, he needs to bat as much as possible going into the World Cup. So that's what I would do personally when it comes to this team. So if that happens, then obviously there's going to be space for Bavuma to get another opportunity. If we were picking our best 11 right now, guys, it wouldn't be my starting 11. It would be Quentin de Kock, Riza Hendricks, Riley Desault, Aiden Markram, David Miller, and it will be Tristan Stubbs at 6, and then Dwayne Pretorius at 7. 8, I would have to choose between either playing an all-rounder or another bowler. That's my concern at the moment because I like the two all-rounders. But Keshav's been in great form with the ball. I want to see Lungi in teams because I believe that he's our best T20 bowler, in my opinion, with regards to variations. So I would like to put him down on there, and then they need to decide with their speedsters what they're going to do because on Australian tracks they're going to travel. I feel that they're going to go to the to the boundary quite quickly, to the bathroom, to the boundary quite quickly, possibly to the bathroom too. But yeah, they're going to go to the boundary quite quickly. It's easy to get boundaries of them. KG necessarily, I don't think I've seen the best of KG in T20 cricket for South Africa yet. I think the best performances I've seen with him has been for DC actually. When he was still bowling for DC with IPL. I think Umpo just got load shedding. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to also download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free straight to your inbox every month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. Also, help us grow South African cricket by becoming a patron today. Click on the link on the screen as well in the description. And then cricketfanaticsmagazine.com is where you get all your updates, your previews, your reviews, your match reports, everything. Our report will be updated tomorrow after the game, hopefully by. So looking forward to that as well. But thanks a lot for tuning in. Don't forget to watch our live daily show directly from the ground. Here's a pull back. I want him to at least say his bye-byes.
Okay.
Yeah, so please go watch our live daily show that was directly from the World T20 Cup launch as well. So bye, thanks everybody. Paul got load shedding probably. What?
Cheers, everyone.
Battery died
Yeah,
or
no, my
something.
laptop died.
Laptop died. Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another review show after the game. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you very soon. Peace, everybody. Enjoy the show, and we'll see you tomorrow.